It's been a really long time since I've played a beta for a fighting game, or an arena fighter in this case, that felt this close to final. The Hidden Ones is a true gem that has the potential to elevate the whole genre. The game is coming out for mobile and PC later this year, I believe, still without a solid release date. Now, I am not the biggest fan of mobile gaming, I think my channel shows that pretty well, but I also believe in always giving something the benefit of the doubt. I don't exclude games simply for being mobile, even if there are a lot of clones out there and a lot of bad business practices, but even on that front, I can assure you that the Hidden Ones is different, or at the very least, the pre-alpha was different. If things change for the final game, I'll be here to talk about it, but until they give me a reason to doubt them, I'm gonna believe they are actually striving to change this mobile space for the better. And if they actually do have better business practices, isn't that something that we should praise and support? Maybe that has a ripple effect on the entire industry, making all mobile games better. And so today I want to talk about everything that this game does right and that I hope stays in the final game, as well as everything that I think could be improved. And we'll start right here with the monetization. As far as I know, this is going to be a free-to-play game where you have to unlock different characters to play in different game modes. In addition to these characters, you also unlock doppelgangers, which are assists that you can summon during battle that act on a cooldown. And these can be obtained in a few different ways. Some characters can be obtained with these silver coins. You get silver coins by ranking up in all the different game modes, as well as doing daily missions. Silver coins are an infinite in-game currency that you can farm by returning to the game every single day. Other characters require you to get these mystic tokens, and these do not seem to be infinite, but they do refresh every season or so. That said, the game had a ton of them available, enough to actually unlock everything that, use that currency. You also get them when you rank up in all the game modes, as well as when you complete optional objectives in each one of those same game modes. They do exist in lower quantity though, and I wouldn't be surprised if you were actually able to buy them when the full game comes out with real money, but for now, they were not purchasable. And once you have that currency, you simply buy the character or the doppelganger you want. There is no gacha, no random pulls, you just grind for the currency and buy what you want to get. And the grind was honestly very reasonable during this pre-alpha. I was able to get every character that was in the game and most of the doppels as well without having to worry too much about it. We'll see if the final game remains this free-to-play friendly, but even if it doesn't, I honestly don't mind spending money to buy characters in the long term. The same way that I buy DLC characters in fighting games. Of course, it depends on how much it will cost, but that's something that I'm down to do, honestly. Because during this week of the pre-alpha, I was able to buy every character that I wanted and every character that I wasn't even interested in. So I can see them changing this system for the final game, but for now, it is free-to-play heaven. There was one more character that was unlocked with a different method, which was Zhang Lingyu. To unlock him, you needed these special gold coins, and the way you got these was by completing the daily missions often enough, that you would be rewarded with the gold coins. It's kind of a weekly reward if you think about it. This character kind of forces you to log in daily and do the daily quests at the very least. So even though this game has no gacha systems right now, it still uses some of those free-to-play trappings to trick you into making the game a part of your daily routine. Something that I still find quite devious. It's definitely something that I don't support because it's basically using your own human nature, your psychology against you. That said, this is still miles better than your typical mobile fighter. Even if it's not perfect, it's definitely a step in the right direction. So with the business side out of the way, let's talk gameplay. At its core, this game is very easy to understand. It's all about reading your opponent. It uses a simple rock, paper, scissors system, but despite being very simple, it changes extremely quickly. Attacks automatically turn into grabs, so blocking a mashing opponent is a bad idea. We'll call this scissors. Skills armor through attacks. If you see someone mashing, this is your best move, so we'll call this rock. But if you see a skill coming, you can block it, and that block can lead into a counter. Paper. Many fighting games have RPS mechanics like this, but as you can see, this one works slightly different. And the reason why it works so well is because in a split second, you can just change your hand. This game has a ton of different ways to cancel animations and therefore cancel your attacking approach. Basic attacks can be cancelled with a block or a dodge, and there's also a dedicated cancel button that will cancel any action, including skills, for 2 bars of stamina. So the mix-up in this game is actually insane, but that mix-up goes both for the attacking player as well as the defending player. And the roles of attacking and defending player are very fluid in this game. But this freedom of movement and animation cancelling not only gives you the chance to switch up your attacking approach on the fly, it's also what makes a lot of movement and combo tech possible, and makes this relatively simple game to learn have a higher skill ceiling than it originally appears to have. On top of it, even though most characters can hit you with infinite combos, it's usually okay because you can escape combos every 12 seconds if you have 3 bars of stamina. So you're never stuck in a combo for too long, you have something called a breakaway. Finally, you can also equip up to 3 doppelgangers of your choice. These are the spirits that you can summon to do a specific attack. It's almost like calling an assist, but the downside is that they have a long cooldown. The cooldown in effect varies with the doppelganger, who have different costs depending on how powerful the developers believe they are. So you can't just equip 3 extremely overpowered assists, you have to make some choices. This makes it so that even if 2 players are going up against each other with the exact same characters, there could still be some variety of playstyles in the way they use their doppelgangers. I think at its core, this combat system is perfect. It has a solid RPS system with enough tech to have a higher skill ceiling, and also being super easy to just pick up and play. It's easy to understand what happened at lower and higher levels every time you make a mistake, making it easy to also improve and get better by simply playing. Now, the game did have a few animation cancelling issues, which would make it so movement would look very janky like this, because the best way to move is actually to cancel attack animations, but you could also do some infinites thanks to attack animation cancelling, the most famous one being Fang Bao Bao's. But the fact is, the infinite got patched mid pre-alpha for the Chinese build. I'm not too sure about the movement, whether they want to keep that or not, but they are quick to take feedback and implement it. They literally did it mid-test, so I really have no complaints there. This pre-alpha had 3 game modes, which I believe are going to be the pillars in the final game, and those are Story, Trial, and Duel. All 3 of them are fantastic in general. Story mode only had Chapter 3 available, and not all missions were unlocked from the get-go. They unlocked 1 mission each day, which is not how I love to play stories, to be honest, but you can also just wait a week, and then the whole thing will be unlocked for you to play in one go. Again, it's one of those things they're doing to try to make the game a part of your daily routine, trying to make sure it's a part of your daily life, instead of just being something that you grind for a day and then forget about. The mode itself is incredible, though. It has a ton of boss fights, a ton of group fights, a running minigame with quick time events, and it has some sick cutscenes with wonderful storytelling. I kid you not, this might be the best way to experience this Hidden Ones or the Outcast story. Can you guys think of an anime game that actually did the story better than the anime? Like, I can think of a few that got close. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, Naruto Storm 4, like, I don't know that I would recommend you learn the story through the game over watching the actual show. There are 2 things, however, that I would love to see improved. The first one is this tailing mission. This is the most boring thing ever, and it drags on for a while. The game has a couple of walking and talking segments, but those are usually pretty short and painless. The tailing mission was just boring and extremely long. And I'd also love to have a skip cutscene button. You have a fast forward button right now, but no skip button. Now, I only wanted to skip because it was actually my second time playing through some of these missions. And I understand that you don't want players to skip your hard work, but it's always the right option to give players the option to skip. If they want to skip it, it's not like you can force them to watch anyway, and you've given them the option to fast forward, so they're already not watching. Might as well give them the actual option to skip so we're not so frustrated at the game when we're trying to move forward. And it also might help making players want to replay certain missions down the line. Trial mode is a boss fight game mode where they take some of these boss fights from story mode and expand their movesets as you defeat them with increasing difficulty, and while completing some of these optional objectives as well. At first I thought this game mode was perfect. The perfect blend of exciting boss movesets and an adequate difficulty level. But after grinding PvP so much, either the boss itself should be tougher or the optional objective, where you have to defeat them within a certain time without healing, should be tougher. I also think the grind to get to the max difficulty sometimes takes a bit longer than you'd want it to. I do understand that this game mode gives out a ton of currency if you complete it, and it looks like it's going to be a seasonal game mode that rotates bosses every once in a while, so you need to make sure that players stay here for a certain amount of time for the currency to be worth it. But if you make the higher difficulty objectives harder to clear, then you'll still have players spend that time here engaging with the most challenging part of your game, even if they are able to reach that maximum difficulty faster than they currently can. Basically, what I'm saying is less of the easy grind and more of the challenging difficulty grind. And then we have duel mode. This is your PvP mode, which is an interesting one. All that was available was ranked play. Now, I'm not one to queue for casual matches in any game, so this didn't bother me. If I want to play casuals, I just invite my friends to play, which was also something that you could do in the pre-alpha. But I understand if people want to have a casual queue, I'm not going to be the one to ask for it, but if someone else wants to do it, then I wouldn't be shocked. After you rank up for a bit, the game introduces character bans, which I also think is really good. And along with the ranks, you can also complete optional objectives, which can be pretty challenging to do depending on your opponent. Personally, I'm not a big fan of these objectives. When I play a ranked match, my goal is to win, and some of these objectives, like winning matches with a male or a female character, I think those are fine, but others like performing 5 perfect dodges in a match or winning all the matches with your last character versus all 3 of your opponent's characters, you're going to be stalling or losing on purpose to try to pull these off, and to me they're just not a good fit with the goal of a ranked PvP game mode. In addition to that, there's a 3v3 mode where you can team up with 2 friends and make your team fight against another team of 3 players. This mode did not have ranked as far as I know, but it still had those optional objectives. So you can still get some currency in this game mode. That said, I think the game mode is so much fun on its own already. Like, it's actually really cool. I don't think PvP modes should be super complicated, and these modes are straightforward enough to just get the job done. I love it when a game's multiplayer mode is like, press this button to play, and you press it and you're in a match. There are rage quit penalties. There's a really solid server-based rollback netcode. So there is delay because you're still connecting to a server, but once you are connected to the server, its rollback is happening. And lag was an issue at the start of the pre-alpha for me, since the closest server online was North America West. That said, in the middle of the alpha, they also switched on the North America East server, and my ping drastically reduced. It was so much better. I cannot wait to have an actual European server because NA East already felt amazing. The one thing missing from this mode is lobbies. Now, you can invite another player from your friends list to play, but you cannot invite anyone else to spectate that match, which makes hosting events and tournaments for this kind of difficult. Biscuit was able to host a content creator tournament because we would screen share our game on Discord, but that's hard to do if you're doing an open signups tournament and any player can join. Having a dedicated spectator slot in your lobbies would make this a lot easier. I would also love to customize these lobbies if you end up making them. For instance, I would like to enable the option to ban or to not ban characters, depending on the tournament that I'm trying to run. Also, the 3v3 mode didn't have lobbies in this alpha, so if you want to play against friends, you just had to queue at the same time. So adding that option to the lobbies, so we could do like 3v3 lobbies with spectator as well, would give us creators the option to make 3v3 tournaments. And those are my thoughts on the Hidden Ones pre-alpha. I'm gonna miss this game dearly until it is playable again, but I'm sure that once it is back, it's gonna be even better, because this team has been so receptive to feedback and so willing to just try these changes out. Even if it was only suggested by 1 or 2 people, if it sounded like a good idea, they were super down to just try it out, see what happens. I cannot wait to see what they do next. But for more of the Hidden Ones, you guys don't have to sit around and wait. You can watch this video right here. Thanks for watching. Bye.